Now, mosquitoes are known to transmit diseases such as malaria and Zika. But how do these bugs actually choose their victims? What makes some people attractive to these bloodsuckers while others are never prey? It's believed that decision is dependent on the type of semiochemicals you have on your skin. So what does all of this mean? Well, let's chat now to co-founder of Goodbye Malaria, Sherwin Charles, the man in the know. Sherwin, a very good morning to you, and fascinating research being done. And I suppose it is a question we've actually been asking for most of our lives, is why do I get bitten, my husband doesn't, or one child does and the other doesn't? So, how do we possibly figure this out? How do we get to the bottom of this?
Good morning, Eureka, and thank you so much for having me on. Absolutely right. It's a challenge that we faced with in the world of vector control. Vector control meaning how do we deal with the mosquitoes? It's what's been found is we now have new analytical tools, and these tools allow us to work out what are the chemicals that are on the skin that attracts mosquitoes to certain individuals. Of course, what we always knew is that the mosquito had a certain behavior, that when it entered into a room, it would look around the room, that carbon dioxide would be an attraction from an odor perspective, and then there may be slight visual aspects to a mosquito choosing what to do next. Most of the mosquitoes, in terms of malaria, the Anopheles mosquitoes, they tend to sit on a wall first within the room, and then to scout the room out and then decide where they're going to go and have their blood meal. Who are they going to bite? And so I think that this analysis that's been done really has been able to identify the particular chemicals that would attract, and odors that would attract mosquitoes to certain individuals. Quite innovative.
Well, I suppose once that's done, it'll be great to know exactly why me and not the person lying next to me or whatever it is. But how will studies like this actually help us prevent now the transmission of deadly diseases by mosquito show? And I mean, what do we do when those people who do get bitten, what would this research help us do? Do we form some kind of medication? Do we come up with some way to neutralize all of this?
There's two very simple outcomes that are quite important. The first one is that we'd be able to create repellents. Why are some people unattractive to mosquitoes? Well, maybe there's certain chemicals or odors that keep the mosquitoes away from them, and that will allow us to create a range of repellents which would allow us to ensure that we don't get bitten. The second one is to identify what attracts the mosquito, and then to create traps and lures so that we can put up traps within a home, outside the home, to attract these mosquitoes to a bait, which would then allow us to kill them. And so two very important elements. Our current tools have just been the indoor residual spraying, which Goodbye Malaria does, as well as using insecticide long-lasting nets, which has been the other tool. Right now, we're looking for new tools within our toolbox as we strive to get to zero malaria and to malaria elimination.
Well, we understand also that there's a difference between how female mosquitoes actually behave, or how they hunt, if I were to put it that way, and then males as well. So just fill us in on that. I mean, that's very fascinating, just reading some of the info that's come through.
So the malaria parasite is transmitted by the female Anopheles mosquito, not the male. And so you would get malaria from a female mosquito biting you. And the reason the female mosquito bites is they're looking for blood. And the blood is used to feed and grow the eggs that they have. So it really is a blood meal looked for by a female mosquito. So the disease is only transmitted by female mosquitoes.
Very interesting indeed. Well, we look forward to the outcomes of this research. And also maybe you can help us answer, Sherwin, is why is it that mosquitoes wait till the lights are turned out? You don't see them, and then they only get you when it's dark.
That seems to be part of their behavior pattern. Yeah. So you're most at risk at dusk, when it starts to get dark, and in the early hours of the morning. just before dawn. So that seems to be the behavior patterns. And of course, we have entomologists who study the behavior of the mosquitoes, so we can find their vulnerabilities in making sure that our vector control is effective.
All right, well, we look forward. Very fascinating research. Like I said, we look forward to the outcomes of this one and sort out our mosquito problems and get some peaceful night's sleep in the future. Thanks very much there, Sherwin Charles from Goodbye Malaria. Now,